Welcome to Startup with Poland, the show where we zoom in on what's hot in Poland and CEE in the startup ecosystem. My name is Tessa McIver and I am your host. My guest today is Wojeciech Ratymirski, who is General Partner at Radix Ventures. Radix is a new venture capital fund on the CEE scene that plans to have its first close this coming autumn. And what is especially exciting about Radix is that they plan to focus on deep tech startups, so those commercialising science and research. This space is currently really underserved in the region, so it's a much welcomed step for the startup ecosystem in CEE. Wojtek himself has a long history in the investment world. He was previously investment manager at ValueTech Seed Fund and before that at Newberg. He has also served on the boards of a number of companies. So Wojtek, welcome. It's great to have you with us.
Hi Tessa, thank you. Thank you for inviting me and it's a pleasure to meet you.
So Wojtek, tell me, why have you and the other partners at Radix decided to focus on deep tech? What was your motivation behind that decision?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, I would like to say that focus on deep tech investment is not a new idea for us. We have already been investing in deep tech startups since 2017 in our current fund, ValueTech Seed. So, Radix is a sort of continuation for us of this venture only on the larger scale outside the Poland with bigger tickets, etc. Deep tech solutions are particularly exciting for us. By saying deep tech, I'm meaning, the projects in which complex technological and scientific challenges are solved without copying traditional solution or without simply transferring traditional business to the world of technology. And of course, the solution developed in such a projects are difficult to copy, which gives them additional competitive advantage. We came to deep tech, I think, through different paths, but I think that the choice of the scope of these investments was largely dictated by our previous experiences. First of all, in our team, we have Paweł Bochniarz, who is undoubtedly the most important person behind the Radix idea. Paweł was working in PwC in the Bridge Mentor program, where he gained a profound experience in commercialization of innovation, especially those one coming from academia, which is somehow a natural incubator for deep tech projects. I've got into deep tech from a slightly different angle. I was working for private investors as a manager of their portfolio of angel investments. And there I came across a variety of projects, but the one that can be classified as a deep tech were especially satisfying, like ML System when we were the investors before the company went public, or Sat Revolution, the company which launched the first Polish nano satellite in space and is still working on the satellite constellations. Maybe those projects were not the easiest one, they were difficult, but easy things are boring, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. So these were the things that really, I understand, excited you and Paweł and the other partners the most. It's wonderful news to hear that Radix has just raised 25 million euro from the European Investment Fund. How difficult was that? And, what are the next steps for Radix after securing that investment?
First of all, it was quite difficult, but above that, it was very, very lengthy. It took us way over 2 years from the first contact to signing the agreement. We had may I say so, bad luck to hit the period of changes in EU budget. So EIF team for a long time was not certain how their mandate will look. Also, the COVID restriction in late 2020 and 2021 were slowing down the whole process because there's restriction in traveling, etc. But the process itself, the most difficult and important thing was to convince EIF teams, because there was a business team, the risk team, compliance team, etc. So our main goal was to convince them that we are able to implement our investment policy and that we as a team are tuned in and able to work together for a long time. And of course, also that we have access to the proprietary pipeline. Of course, I don't know what tipped the scales in our favor. I know that quite a few teams were rejected in the same time, but if you want me guessing, what was the main thing that caused that Radix was chosen, I think, it was a full transparency on our side. It was ability to demonstrate them that as a team we are able to work together effectively for a long period of time. And I think that also the fact that the investments in the deep tech projects, especially in combination with clean tech elements, is the area targeted by financial instruments of EU in the current budget perspective. So Radix match the strategy, match the EU goals in this area. And I also know that EIF made a bunch of reference calls to our portfolio companies, to our ValueTech investors, to our previous employers also. So they were checking very with scrutiny if we are saying is true. Well, I think what is worth adding here is that the process of the preliminary negotiations, the due diligence, the actual negotiations of the agreement, even though it was quite long, I was very impressed during these projects how the EIF team works. So they keep strict adherence to market standards. They do not expect any preferences, even though they are the biggest investors in the fund. And they have great openness in the communication and understanding. Particularly in our case, we are first-time team to make such a big fund. We are working in Polish micro VC, but the Radix is the first international fund for us. And of course, because of that, we do not know all the mechanisms, etc. So, they not only did not take advantage on this, but they hinted us with the possible solution, etc., which was great. And, it doesn't mean that the negotiations were easy, especially in terms of finances. But to summarize, how somehow I can encourage the new team not be afraid to approach EIF. They will talk openly with you, but only if you are straightforward, honest, and not trying to sell them bullshit.
Definitely good advice there, Wojtek.
So ask for the next steps. So we are planning to make a first close at 40 million euro level in the fourth quarter of this year. Funding from EIF and from private investors who have pledged so far, we already have the vast majority of amount needed for the first closing. And it gives us high degree of confidence that we will be able to launch in 2023. Of course, it does not mean that the fundraising will end. The target fund size is 60 million. So as soon as we start being operational, as we make first investment, we will approach. There are some investors that are not willing to enter the fund on the first closing. They want to wait to see if we really start working, really start investing, and they declare that then they can join Radix. And at the same time, right now we are talking to several startups that are potential first investments. So we want to be able to make first initial investments almost simultaneously with the first closing.
Okay, well, fantastic. A lot going on. You've got a busy time ahead of you, Wojtek. And apart from, the deep tech focus, what would you say is really Radix's, secret sauce? What sets you aside from other VCs in the region?
Well, we are investing in startups for several years. So, and the Radix is kind of startup right now. It's a new fund. We have to attract investors. So, we thought, what is the most important thing that we are looking on in the process of assessing the startups? And it's a trivia, it's a team. So we decided at the beginning of the process that to be able to implement our strategy, to be able to invest outside the Poland. We have to attract venture partners, team members that will help us, that will be our, eyes, ears, legs in not only neighboring countries, but in countries like Romania, Hungary, etc. So we decided that we want to build a team that will be not only, that will not only bring different competencies into a team, but will be also geographically diverse. And the most important persons here are our venture partners. So we have on board Alex Mihailichuk from UiPath from Romania, who will be our main guy in the Bucharest. We have Martin Sok, who is very recognizable Hungarian entrepreneur, an investor also. He is in the Hungary, and we have Serhii Sokolenko. Serhii is an Ukrainian, but he was living for I think 15 years in the States. Right now he lives in Berlin, and he has great connection with the Ukrainian startup community. Also, we have Daniel Dumitrescu, who will be our principal in Bucharest. Daniel runs Innovox, which is one of the most important Romanian startup accelerators. So all of them bring knowledge of local startup ecosystems, which allows them to generate unique pipeline for Radix. But also each of them, because of the different experiences, different background, brings to the table unique insights, extremely helpful in evaluating projects and in supporting teams after investments.
Well, it definitely sounds like, you've got a lot of bases covered across the region. So I'm sure that's going to, definitely help you find the best technologies and innovations in the region. And Wojtek, for you personally, what technologies really excite you? Not simply from the point of view of an investor, but also, on a personal level. What makes you think, wow, when you see a pitch deck?
Well, all deep techs or almost all deep techs projects are exciting, but if I had to name personally something that is particularly important for me, I'm proud, very proud and pleased that in Radix investment plans we are reserving especially large pool of funds for the deep tech project that can simultaneously be classified as a clean tech. Because, despite current challenges such as COVID pandemic, Russian aggression on Ukraine, economic downturn, inflation, I think that climate change is, some kind of a sword of Damocles hanging over our heads.
Yeah.
And no matter what is the biggest challenge that we and our children have to face. And privately, my passion is mountain running. I spend a lot of time in mountains almost every weekend. I run in the Polish and not only Polish mountains. So I'm spending a lot of time observing nature and how it changed, not only globally, but also locally. So, the prospect of investing in the projects, in the green projects, gives me kind of feeling that maybe, somehow I may make a minimal contribution to saving this, what I care the most. So yeah.
Oh, well, that's great. Although, as you were saying, running up mountains, I can, just imagine you running up a mountain thing that must be even more challenging and difficult than fundraising.
Yeah, I was running, last weekend I was running 110K for 18 hours.
Wow.
A lot of to be with the nature and to think. Yeah.
So you definitely do like a challenge, Wojtek. And what do you think the CEE innovation ecosystem, how do you think it will develop in the next, let's say, 5 years? I know it's a crystal ball game because nobody knows, but if you were to make some predictions, what would they be?
Making predictions these days seems like a quite hard job, and you can always assess the analyst if you check how well he describes why he was wrong. So, the last few years have been a real roller coaster. We had the COVID crisis, 2021 investment boom, then we had a war, exploding inflation, energy challenges caused by Russian aggression, etc. But I think in connection with earlier question or my earlier answer, I think the future belongs to innovation that address primarily the climate change issues. So energy transition, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, innovation in agriculture to feed growing number of people in the more difficult climate conditions. Everywhere here, technological innovation in AI, new materials, photonics, energy storage will play a big role. And if we take a look at financial instruments and policies of European Union, they have to be according with the Green Deal. And if you look at them, I think for the next period, we can see that mainly projects contributing somehow to climate change issues or contributing to improving efficiency of, for example, manufacturing in Europe, of semiconductor technologies, etc. Those will be the projects that can count on funding. And it's how determines, in my opinion, the direction of innovation, because innovation still requires public support in not only in EU, but almost in every country that is counting.
Okay, well, we'll definitely be looking closely. I'm sure that you're absolutely correct in these predictions. So we'll be observing and seeing what happens. And of course, observing very closely Radix. I really keep my fingers crossed that you do have that first closing before the year's out, and of course that you'll then make the 60 million mark not too long after that. So Wojtek, it's been a real pleasure to speak with you. Keeping my fingers absolutely crossed, and good luck for everything that's coming, and good luck with the running as well.
Thank you, Tessa. Thank you for inviting me. I hope I brought something interesting for you and for your listeners. So
absolutely. So thank you, Wojtek, and thank you to our listeners. See you next time on Startup with Poland.